Armageddon time in Norway Chess between Gukesh and Wesley So. We are here in the 7th round where the classical game ended in a draw. Gukesh was dominating, he was better but couldn't convert it, and now they'll play the Armageddon where Gukesh has 10 minutes and must win. Wesley has 7 minutes and a draw is fine for him. Pawn to c4 played, and this is different from 1e4 that was played in the classical game. We have the symmetrical English, knight comes out, bishop g7, he plays e3. And the plan of e3 is to put your knight on e2 and push the pawn to d4. He pushes e5, Wesley, taking control of the d4 square but slightly weakening the d5 square. This is known as, by the way, the Botvinnik's triangle, this setup in the center that black has. a3 played. And white often tries for rook b1 and b4 with queenside expansion. So Wesley stops it, but with every pawn push, he does weaken some squares. Rook to b1. And black castles here. White castles as well. And rook to b8. Played. The bishop comes to d2. I mean, black would want to play d5, but if puts the bishop on e6, he goes bishop f5, then the knight would have jumped to d5. Now d3 was hanging, so queen c2, queen d7 with the idea of trading this important bishop. I think this is a very strong bishop, and Gukesh jumps in with the knight to d5. So if you play bishop h3 now, you have to be very careful about stuff like takes, and bishop to a5, losing a pawn. So b5 played by Wesley, which is a good move, and you make use of the rook on b8. He takes. I mean, you have to take with the rook. Rook takes b5. And knight c3. Attacking the rook. Rook to b8. And now rook f to c1. The rook comes to c8. And we have bishop e4 played. The bishop drops back to e6. And there are a lot of pressure on the position. So he goes king f8. But I mean, the best thing about black's position is the space that black has. Knight e7, and if you trade queens, black is slightly better. And Gukesh in a must-win goes and chops the pawn. This is a dangerous queen here. It can get trapped. By the way, bishop b3 would be really nice. Then d5 and then trying to trap the rook. Knight c6 played by Wesley. Well, the good news for Gukesh was that the a8 square is off bound. So like if you play here, I can take. And you can't take here because the rook is hanging. So he goes d5. And the bishop drops back on g2. Wesley has 4 minutes. Gukesh has 6 minutes on the clock. Rook a8. And now queen b5 and queen b6 both give you some moments respite because the c5 pawn would be hanging with a check. So you can't really attack the queen. And comes back queen b5. But there's a very difficult task to defend this pawn. Like if you play queen d6, I have knight to a4. So he goes rook b8, attacking the queen. But now Gukesh can simply take the pawn. And Wesley, I don't know if he missed it. I mean, the best move here was king g8. So that if knight queen takes c5, you have rook a5 move. But takes knight e7 and Gukesh goes back queen to a5. He's pawn up. In fact, if you look closely, he's 2 pawns up. Rook a8 and queen b5 offering a trade. He goes back. By the way, queen b5, nice point is that if you take rook c3, I take b takes c3 defending the queen. So knight e2, rook b8, the queen comes to c5. He's attacking the queen. Is the queen going to get trapped? Not really, because the queen can actually swing over to the h4 square. And you can do that here. Queen to h4. He plays queen c3. Rook to c8, d4. Wesley trying to attack the queen here, trying to destabilize the position, but Gukesh now is 2 pawns up and he's got everything under control. Bishop to d5. I think you can simply take here. Bishop d5. He goes knight c3, allowing the trade. King takes. And knight to f5, attacking the bishop. Queen f3. And king to g8. The knight jumps in. And Wesley moves the rook away. Even a move like bishop b6 should work. Rook b6, knight b6, queen b6. The a8 rook is hanging. He goes bishop to c5 and h5. Gukesh stops the pawn in its tracks. You need to convert this well, but he has 3 minutes on the clock. Wesley has 1 minute and rook a5 has been played. Knight to b4. Now threatening a big fork on c6. 40 moves are done, so 1 second increment does kick in. Rook c8, bishop b6. That's a very cool move because if queen b6, you lose here, and this is a finishing move. Takes, king h7. Gukesh goes queen c6, offering a trade of queens. Queen d4, and queen comes back to c4. Putting pressure on f7. And Wesley goes back to d6, d7, but now allows rook c7, and queen takes f7 is hanging. Queen d8. And takes rook a6, but that knight takes a6, and Wesley resigns. Magnus was looking at the game Gukesh scores a nice win here, and well, to some extent, Gukesh can be happy with this win, but also the classical game was better for Gukesh. And I think they're talking about the moment knight to d5 in the classical game, where Gukesh could have improved upon his play there. This was the moment where Gukesh played knight to d5, and there are other moves that are better. Rook takes d6 could be one move. There's also queen h4, which is very powerful with ideas like rook e5, and d8 is hanging. And so that was missed out in the battle. We'll put a separate video on this classical game because it was very, very interesting. Let's look at the outside area where the players went after this game, did their interviews, and also interacted with the fans.
Gukesh, are you happy about Armageddon or still thinking about the classical version that you had? So willing, sad to be happy with the whole win, but at least the Armageddon was nice. It's also good to have these conversations with your opponent afterwards, go through this for a long time. How does that help to get the thoughts out of your head? Yeah, it's nice. Nice to your opening those things.
And then I was thinking myself because it's just exactly the type of position that Gukesh is very good at, where he can calculate everything with an and then he played a3, which is the right. Okay, bishop d6 first, rook e1, knight c6, but then I thought he could play knight c3, bishop d5. I think they still covered the chessable course that they made. But then it's 50-50, yeah. So then I just thought, okay, I'll play knight c6, he'll probably retreat. And of course, after I played rook d5, I just started kicking myself. I think it's just a very bad position for black. Yeah, the problem is that if you sacrifice a pawn in the opening against Gukesh or against anybody, but literally against Gukesh, you should be extremely well prepared, and I wasn't. And so I should just have played d6 instead of d5. Okay, in the end, I figured I had too much adventures for one day, but probably it's equal. Like, I mean, of course, I'm down in material, so I can't really be that much better, but he's king very weak. With 1 minute on the clock, I think it can happen. But after rook f5, I think if he finds queen g2, yeah, I mean, too much adventure for one day. And then in the Armageddon game, I didn't have time to switch. I just ran out of gas, but he just took all my pawns, and I don't even know why. I couldn't really think of the Armageddon.
Here, Wesley So he was talking about your game. We heard some of his thoughts.
But then I was looking forward
we were discussing after the Armageddon a bit, so like, we did discuss our thoughts, but I didn't mention it.
He decided he's working on some chessable course, and this was kind of fun. Tell us how the game went, and so the kitchen was what you were talking about after the game for some time.
Yeah, after the Armageddon, we were just talking about the classical. There was this one moment when I went knight d5. Probably lost the advantage. I should have probably gone rook b6 or queen h4. That should have been winning. But, yeah, we were just discussing about that. And, yeah, other than that moment, it was a pretty good game. I think just that one moment.
And in the Armageddon, you were pressing on the clock. You kept at least 2 minutes, 3 minutes each on the. Was it your strategy to just push on the clock?
So I thought I played a decent chess game. But yeah, like, I mean, when you have more time in Armageddon, it's tougher.
Thank you very much. He's from
Thank you.
Thank you.
Look over here.
Brother, can I take a picture of you? Oh, yes. Okay. Thank you.
No, we didn't.
Just Thank
Everything's okay? Yeah, that's good.
Sure.